So today we're going to look at microphones, and specifically I'm going to do a review of this microphone, which is the Maono AU-200. It's kind of an interesting lavalier mic, which means it's kind of got these little clips on it. What's interesting about this one is it's got dual microphones on it, so it's kind of set up to be maybe like a podcasting microphone where you can do interviews with it and things like that. Which is kind of interesting. So, but you can see it maybe has an issue, and that main issue is it's got a lot of cable with it. Now that might be a good thing or a bad thing depending on your use case. So we're going to kind of talk about this microphone and how it performs and how it might fit into the rest of your gear if you're using a different microphone already. So for instance, like this is my desktop USB microphone that I use if I'm sitting at my desk. I've got a little shotgun microphone that can sit on top of a camera, or it can also hook with my phone if I need it. And then of course, like my camera and my phone, those also have built-in mics. So what is the situation where you would use like a lavalier microphone with a lot of cable, and where might that suits you better than if you used one of these other types of microphones or the built-in microphone to your camera or your phone? So we'll do a few audio tests here and kind of look at those different situations. Specifically, again, we're kind of reviewing this Maono AU-200. So before we get into like the audio tests and things like that, let's look at what comes in the box with this guy right here. Okay, so I'm sitting at my desk here, and this is kind of my pretty typical setup for filming videos like this. Now in this case, I'm really close to the camera, and I've got my USB microphone sitting on my desk right here next to me. So this is my preferred method. Now, this might not work for you for a couple of reasons. One, you might not be sitting at a desk or be sitting close to your camera. Two, you might not already have a desktop microphone that works really good. Now, for me, I almost always feel like a USB microphone connected to my computer, for what I've tried, has sounded better than using the internal microphone of my camera, or even using like a shotgun microphone or a lavalier hooked into my camera. It's just my preferred method of recording, but it can be a little complicated because I'm actually recording the audio separately on my computer while I'm recording the audio and video from my camera on, in my camera. So it's a little bit complicated because I have to sync audio later and post and things like that. You might not want to mess with this. So if you don't want to mess with this, Let me give you just a couple of other examples here of what microphones could sound like, starting with the built-in microphone on the camera, and then we'll kind of cycle through a couple of other options. Okay, so now I'm just talking straight into my camera. Again, I'm only a couple feet away from it in this instance. And for this purpose, I think the built-in microphone sounds okay on a camera or like on a phone. But you can take a step up in audio quality if you put something on it like a shotgun microphone, and that's what I'm going to do right now. Okay, so again, same camera position, everything. Still just a couple feet away from my camera, except now there is a shotgun microphone up on the top of it. And really this should, maybe you'll hear a couple of differences. I've got the window open behind my camera, so whereas previously, with just the internal audio of the camera, you may have heard maybe like some birds tweeting and things like that, or like a car driving by outside. Having a shotgun microphone shooting directly at me should eliminate some of that background noise and hopefully improve the audio quality. But still, the microphone is that same, couple of feet away from my face, from my mouth, where my audio is coming from. So you'll notice here, if I scoot back a little bit, you're going to still notice a very obvious degradation in the audio quality. Now this is where a lavalier microphone can come in and you can see some benefits with using a microphone like that. So we're going to switch over to the Maono AU-200 lavalier mic, and you can see kind of what difference that makes here in a setup where you're sitting in like an office at a desk type of a situation. Okay, so now you can see my little lavalier mic hooked up here. Again, this is the Maono AU-200. And, now with me being just a couple of feet away from the camera, using a lavalier mic like this, especially one that's got so much cable to work with, probably isn't the most practical solution, but you should still get a pretty good audio signal from it. And it should also still do a pretty good job of blocking out kind of noises that are further away from the microphone, like I was speaking to, like the birds and things that are tweeting in the background outside of the window there. Where a lavalier mic like this comes into play, where it's going to maybe improve your video production or help you maintain good audio quality, is when you move further away from the camera. So as I move further away from the camera here, and I'm minding my cables here, and you might hear a little bit of weird noises, like the other mic is flopping around here. Since I'm only using the one right now. But as I move away from the camera here, the nice feature of having a lavalier mic is you're going to maintain audio quality regardless of your position to the camera. So I can move back, I can move from side to side, and I'm going to keep that same audio quality. So it allows me to be farther away from the camera, still get good audio quality, and I can even do some movement. Now movement is a little bit tougher with this model because it's got the two microphones, and you kind of have to be mindful of that second microphone, as you've seen. But you may need that second mic feature, in which case, that's what you're probably buying this unit for, honestly. So it'd be like if you and somebody else were going to stand far away from the camera and do some sort of audio work. Now, even still in my office here, probably a shotgun mic or something would be okay, because even now I'm only about 4 feet away from the camera. So what we're going to do is we'll go out into a bigger space in my house, and we will see what it's like when I get much further away from the camera with a couple of different types of microphones. All right, so we've switched positions here. I'm starting off a couple feet away from the camera again. We're in my kitchen, dining area in my house. And so here's internal camera audio. Now I'm gonna move back several different positions here. And we're gonna test, what these different microphones sound like in this situation. I think this is where you're really gonna see the benefits of using a lavalier mic such as the AU-200 that we're testing out in this video. So 2 feet away from the camera, this has been the audio. Now we're going to move back a couple of feet here Excuse the sunlight's coming in if it's making it look a little bit weird here. So now I'm maybe about 7-8 feet away from the camera, and again, internal audio, this is what it sounds like. So you're probably noticing a little bit of degradation. Also, the door is open behind the camera, so you're probably hearing some of those outside noises. There's some equipment operating, and of course the birds that we mentioned before. We're gonna move back here again, and now I'm probably about 15 feet away from the camera at this point in time, and I'm sure that you're probably noticing a real degradation in audio here. It maybe is getting hard to see me. I am kind of raising my voice a little bit to maybe compensate for that. You're probably also noticing a lot of room sound to it. So I do have vaulted ceilings here. It's a lot of space, but it's mostly hard surfaces. Not the best for audio quality. Okay, same test, different microphone. This one's the little shotgun mic that I had. Again, we're starting off right next to the camera here. And, so hopefully that there is an improvement over the internal camera. I think you'll notice at least a little bit of one. And the main thing you'll notice is that perhaps you're missing out on some of that external noise, such as the equipment operating and the birds outside. We'll go ahead and we'll move back. Again, this is to our middle position, 6-7 feet away from the camera. I feel like this would be a pretty natural position if you were like doing a demonstration like cooking or something like that, or perhaps building something or making something. This would be a natural distance to be away from the camera, and this is what a shotgun mic audio quality would sound like for you. Again, you're probably hearing a lot of room noise even at that distance away from the camera. Now as I move back here to like 15 feet away, I'm sure that you're starting to, maybe it's getting difficult to hear me, and perhaps the room sound is really bad, and it's probably just not very good audio, honestly, and probably not a big improvement over just what's built into the camera, because they're probably both not very good, but I'll have to listen after we make the video. Okay, final test, and this one I think is going to be the most revealing and is going to show you the most benefits of having a lavalier mic like the AU-200 here. Again, close to the camera, probably not a lot of noticeable differences in audio quality. I would guess you're still probably getting better isolation from like those outside noises. You're probably also hearing less room noise than you did with the other two microphones, I would assume. Let's take a step back. Don't mind, again, I've got the second mic just kind of clipped to my pocket here, so if there's some weird sounds when I'm moving, I wouldn't attribute that to the microphone. It's just something to be aware of. Again, this unit has two microphones, and that's going to make it a little bit different than if you had just a single unit lavalier microphone system. So anyway, we're our same testing medium distance, 6-7 feet away from the camera. And again, with the lavalier mic, my audio should be just as good as it was when I was right up next to the camera. So again, if you're doing something where you're stepping back away from your camera or your phone or whatever you're using to record your video, and you're demonstrating something or teaching something or showing something, I think this is probably going to give you a better audio quality. And just to give you an idea of the reach here, again, we're going to continue moving back. And I'm you can see I'm kind of minding my wire here, and I'm just going to set it down. This is about the maximum distance you could get with this microphone system. So again, I don't know what the exact length is, but I'm a good 15 feet away from the camera at this point in time, and I've got enough slack that I can maneuver and move around. So I would assume this audio compared to the internal camera's microphone and the shotgun mic in this situation is probably just way, way, way better audio quality. So again, it's kind of like, what are you going to do in your videos that you need the microphone for? So if you want to set the camera up far away, and especially with this microphone system, if you want to do some sort of like interview or setup like that, where the camera can't be right up next to both people,
and you want to hear each of their voices really, really well, I think this microphone system is probably going to be a pretty good cheap option to get started doing something like that. So let's head back to the office and we'll do some final thoughts.
So to finish up here, I thought I would just do another little test here with my phone, since I did all those other tests with my Canon N50. And this is the internal microphone of the phone. Again, in this office setting when we're really close, I don't think it makes that much difference, to be perfectly honest with you. And I think if you're really close to whatever your video source is, if you have a decent phone or a decent camera, I think in general it's probably going to be okay. I don't think you'll see that much improvement by using a lavalier microphone. However, when you scoot back away from your video recorder, whatever that might be a bit, that's where you're going to see a big improvement. So let's switch to the AU-200 here, and we'll finish up our thoughts.
Okay, so now that we switched to the AU-200, here's kind of the gist of it, right? This is, I think, a decent microphone, especially when you consider it's what, like 30 bucks maybe, or right around that price on Amazon. By the way, that will be linked down below in the description, along with the other equipment that I've been using to make this video. If you're recording away from your camera, I think investing in some sort of a lavalier microphone like this is going to give you significantly better audio quality and at not a high cost if you want to use a wired solution like the AU-200 here. I think if you're doing the AU-200, where it comes in and would really be beneficial is if you want two people, if you've got you and a partner and you're doing some sort of podcasting or recording how-to videos or something along those lines. I think that the AU-200 is going to be a great cheap option, especially when you consider what stepping up to like a wireless lav system would cost, which you'd be looking at something like the Saramonic Blink 500, which I would love to have a chance to review at some point in time, but I haven't yet. But that's a dual microphone wireless lav system, and that's $250. So you're talking $30 with the AU-200 that I'm using right here versus $250. So the AU-200 I think is a great first solution for audio away from your camera with a second person. I don't know that there's really anything else out there that would be cheaper that's going to sound as good. So if you're looking at improving your audio, you're filming away from your camera, I can recommend this and think you should seriously give it a look. The one thing, that you're going to need to keep in mind is if you're just you, I think buying a two microphone system like this, I think it causes more trouble than it's going to be like benefits. So I'm also going to link a single microphone system that's similar to this down in the description, that if it's just you, you might want to look at that instead. The other thing to keep in mind is this little dongle here that we showed earlier, where you have to switch it on and off depending on whether you're using it with a smartphone or with a camera. That is something that you need to be aware of, because if you're using it with a camera and you forget to shut it off, you could kill the battery, or if you forget to switch it to the right setting, you're not going to get audio. So that's just one more thing to keep in mind. I will say that I have used this for a couple of other reviews, and at one point I left this on for like 2 days, and it's still, like, that did not drain the battery when it was on full time for like a couple of days. So I don't know exactly how long the battery lasts, but that's just something to keep in mind. So yeah, all in all, I can fully recommend this product. I think at its price, it's very competitive. I think the audio quality is acceptable, and I think it's worth a look if it sounds like it will fit your niche use for making your content.
That's going to do it for this video. Thank you for sticking with me. If you found this video useful, please give me a thumbs up down below and consider subscribing if you're interested in more reviews for videos like this, audio gear, video gear. Specifically, I'm really into headphones and the associated gear with listening to headphones, amp stacks, things like that. And I'll be doing a lot more videos with those items in the near future. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you in the next one.